When I went back for another, what I thought would be a myomectomy, they were saying, you really do need a hysterectomy. It would really deal with things. And I just thought, no, you're not having my bits. They're my bits.
My bits.
They're my bits and I'm keeping them.
Right.
But then within 6 months, the fibroids, believe it or not, came back.
Oh, so that's the third time now?
Yeah, that's the third surgery. And then they did the hysterectomy then. But it wasn't a full hysterectomy. I wrote down what I wanted them to do, what I would accept.
Yeah.
And they kept to it near enough.
Yeah.
Because they found some bits and pieces that they had to deal with. But effectively, I've had the hysterectomy and I have 1.5 ovaries because they had to take half because it had a huge cyst on it.
Right.
So that was done.
Hello and welcome to Season 5, Episode 6 of Menopause Whilst Black. My name is Karen Arthur and I am your host. This is the podcast that is committed to sharing the menopausal stories of Black people, primarily based in the UK. How are you? How was your season? How was your day? Did you manage to get everything finished? Or I hope you didn't end up going in to the season feeling frazzled, and I hope that you're resting and with people that you love now. Today's episode is a doozy. You're going to enjoy listening to it. There are lots of tips and tricks here, but also a really beautiful story of how this person comes out the other side and is really embracing her menopause journey. Okay, I'll leave it at that and I'll see you at the other side. Bye. Today's guest is a very special one. I mean, I want to big her up. I know everybody's special. I understand that, but she's a special person. I'm going to read her bio. So Pauline Blackwood is a holistic massage therapist with a penchant for gentle sports massage for broke down bodies. She runs her treatment rooms out of the Isle of Dogs, poshly, near Canary Wharf. She uses her keen love of movement and music to create a peaceful practice, which allows the muscles of others to sing. I love that.
Oh,
She's
sounds
created
so nice.
She has created a safe space for women and a few men to come and get treatments. This has always been the dream. Pauline's worked and lived experiences in education, factories, community dance, and massage continues to inspire her work. She hopes one day to gather a crowd of Black complementary therapists for afternoon tea if someone else doesn't do it for her first. And I said, just before we came on, if someone else does it first, it doesn't matter because it was Pauline Blackwood doing it first. So do it anyway. Welcome, Pauline.
Hiya. Hi, Karen, and thank you. That is so lovely. Oh, it sounds really weird as well, hearing your life experiences back to you.
It's interesting because with episode 1 and 2, I think, I used to read the bio afterwards when the guest was gone. And then one day I read someone's when they were in front of me, so to speak, and their face just lit up. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that every time.
It's really lovely.
So, yeah. And sometimes we don't celebrate ourselves. We don't realise how far we've come. So I'm proud to have been able to make you smile.
Oh. All right.
Are you ready, babe?
I am.
Are you ready? So, Pauline, tell us about yourself. Who are you outside of your title?
Well, I don't know, somebody who loves to hear music. It really brings me to life. And I'm somebody who lives quietly with the flow as best I can. I love to shop. I love to live. I love to garden badly. All of those things. I love my friends. I love life. Yeah. That's who I am. And so who am I without a title? I'm all those things. I'm more a sister, a daughter, an auntie. a great auntie. I think maybe even a great great auntie.
Oh,
So there
wow.
you have it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's you've described a life of joy, and I love that you've done that. I think that it's very easy in this world to kind of get bogged down with the sometimes lack of joy in the world. So
Mhm.
I'm a strong believer that if you look for the joy, you'll find it. And after a while, you won't have to look for it. And it sounds like, well, I certainly know because I have in the past, I've not only been in your presence, but also been lucky enough to experience your wonderful massage hands. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely a joyful person. So, what is your heritage? Where are your parents from?
Right. So my parents are Jamaican. They are the Windrush generation, and the we are the first. Me and my sisters are the first generation in the UK from Jamaica. My mum was from Hanover and
Mhm.
Westmoreland area. My dad was from Linstead, more towards Kingston, and they
Mhm.
came over in the 50s. Yeah, and to London, and so I'm based in London still. Yeah.
Okay, whereabouts in London? Because people get
So
very loyal to their part of London.
well, I have to say, when my parents came over, they moved to Brixton, and that's where they lived for many years. And then my dad and mum decided we're going to come out of there and via, I believe, Clapham. I'm not sure whether it's true, but from Brixton, they went to Islington and they
Mhm.
lived near the Cali, now Caledonian Road. But
Oh,
when I,
okay.
but when I was born in N7, Islington, more towards Finsbury Park and Seven Sisters. So really, I'm an Islington girl at heart, although I now live in southeast London. Yeah, and
I mean, yeah, go on.
it was a mad area to grow up in. It was lovely,
Really?
fantastic. Yeah,
In
yeah.
what sense was it mad?
It was mad because when I was brought up, probably the same as you, in that
Mm.
you could run out.
Yes.
It would play out all day, foghorn,
Yeah.
if anyone could hear a foghorn, dinner
Yeah.
time or lunchtime. This is the summer holidays. And so it was mad in that respect. We could just run out. And we
Mm.
had a gang of friends and we'd get on bicycles and cycle up to Finsbury Park and further up to Ali Pali, which was miles.
It's
I would
miles.
never do that now, but them days you just do it and it was great fun.
I was
Yeah.
talking to someone recently about the long summer holidays that went on and on and on, and remembering just like you've said, just playing out. You were gone in the daylight hours. You knew to come home.
Yes.
You were called to come home to dinner. So carefree. And I
Yeah.
think about well, my grandson, but even my kids to some extent. I mean, they're over 30 now, but certainly
Mm.
didn't have the freedom. Long summer holidays of playing wherever you wanted to play. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So you're based in Southeast London now.
Mm. Yeah.
How old are you, Pauline?
58.
50.
58 now. Yeah.
So who taught you about menopause?
I think it was my sisters,
Mm,
particularly the closest sister to me is 50. Well, she's a few years older than me. I'm not going to mention her age. And she told me about menopause, and she dealt with it so beautifully as well, I think,
mm,
because she's more health conscious than I am. And she was having all of the soy cakes. She was
mm,
eating linseeds, and she made linseed cakes and breads. She stopped the meat. She did
mm.
all of the things, and she was doing some of it herbally. I don't think she's ever took any medication. Like,
Okay.
yeah, so she did it really well. And the thing is, when my mum went through menopause, it, wa- I wasn't paying attention. I had to be told in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting, and also some of my friends were going through it at the same time as well, but it was all whispers.
Yeah.
It was never a shared experience, and now we're talking about it,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you say when your mum went through it, you weren't paying attention. Are you also saying that she would say something about it, or are you saying if she had said something, I wouldn't have paid attention?
If she had said something, I believe I would have paid attention.
Right.
But there were a lot of things going on. So what I've discovered about my mum's menopause is through my sisters, and
Yeah.
they've told me some interesting things about that. And her experience specifically was that she didn't go through a traditional menopause. She had a hysterectomy.
Right.
So
Okay.
because of that, her symptoms would have come on very quickly. But I do know what was happening just before the hysterectomy. And that
Yeah.
was that she was often very tired and that she did have fibroids. Yeah.
Oh,
So what I know is that she was coming from work and she had two jobs, like many black women did.
mm,
Two jobs. And she would just spread herself out on this huge Chesterfield sofa that she'd
yeah.
bought, a three-piece sofa. It was massive, dark brown. And she would just lie there, relax. And then as soon as the film came on, she was gone. She was asleep.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And so you said you've got sisters, just sisters?
Yes.
How many sisters do you have?
Four sisters. Yeah.
Where are you in this?
I'm the last one. Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah. I'm the baby. I'm the last one. Yeah.
So you said your sister
The
talking
next one up.
about menopause. Did she actually have a conversation with you, or was it you watching what she was up to?
I was, we had a conversation about it, and she says, "Oh, you've got to buy this book. You've got to get," and it was a cookbook for menopause. And
Okay.
then she says, "You need to be prepared for this." And we were talking about it, and also she started this. She was always in. She is a fit woman still.
Mhm, mhm,
She's like me, exactly like me, but
mhm.
she's tiny, slim, and and she's always power walking.
Yeah.
So she'd ring and she'd say, "I'm going up this hill now." She's rushing up this hill or running about somewhere. She doesn't run, she moves very quickly about somewhere. That's what I should say. And she has a rowing machine, so she does all the things. And then that way she doesn't get the hot flushes. And so one of the things I learned from my sister is if you keep moving, your hot flushes are going to be a lot less. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah,
I mean, that can be the case, but it's not always the case.
true.
Lots of people do not get. There are many people who don't get hot flushes, and as I always bang on about in this on this podcast, is that everybody's situation is different. But I suppose certainly there may be similarities within families. So
Mm,
it's very possible that what she's doing with her walking, with the way that she's managing her diet, is very beneficial to her menopause experience
yeah.
as well. So where are you on your menopause journey?
Well, it's long past now, done and dusted, because like my mum, I have high blood pressure.
Right.
Okay. Like my mum, I had incredibly terrible fibroids. So
Mm,
because of that, I actually had a hysterectomy some years ago. 2019, I had my hysterectomy. So my menopause came on not like a mad rush, like it should do, because I fought tooth and nail to keep my ovaries. So
right.
because of that, it kind of the menopause came about over obviously earlier, but
Mm,
maybe a year after I started noticing these changes. So around 2000, I knew, yeah, this is definitely my symptoms are coming on for menopause.
yeah. And so you said you had fibroids. I know from talking to
Mm.
so many other, black women that fibroids are no joke. And you just kind of mentioned it, and I understand that. But so what was the lead up to the hysterectomy? Like, how were fibroids? How did you find out you had them, and how were they affecting your life?
The fibroids, I believe they were affecting my life from the very beginning. I think probably from my 20s, but I
Okay.
didn't realize because I used to have my period, but before my period, probably around day one, two, and just before my period, it wasn't mood. I would just bath. You know what that means?
Okay. Okay.
I'd just be sick. And it
Oh
was
wow.
something that, yeah, really badly. And I tried to deal with it as many ways as I could, but in the end, they just put me on medication. Funnily enough, I suggested Chinese medicine, homeopathy. I think I got the NHS to get me to the Royal Homeopathic Hospital, which it was then near Great Ormond Street. And I
Mm,
went for about 2 years probably.
mm.
to no avail, but it might be good for other people. And then in the end, they put me on tranexamic acid and methylamic acid,
Oh, wow.
alternating between the two for ages. The periods settled down after a while. I think my health was pretty good for a while, and they settled. And then I went for a myomectomy in my late 30s because the periods just got
Yeah.
epic. It was just epic. I couldn't leave the house at some points. And
Wow.
so when I was working, I just signed off sick. And
Mm.
then I had a myomectomy, which dealt with things for a while. But after that, the periods came back, the fibroids came back. And, you know, before the myomectomy, you get a surgeon who's a consultant. It was a brilliant consultant. She said, "Don't worry, darling, we'll take 100% care of you. You'll be on that table and sorted in no time." That's sort of, she was one of those characters. And then when I went back for another, what I thought would be a myomectomy, they were saying, you really do need a hysterectomy. It
Oh,
would really deal with things. And I just thought, no, you're not
yeah.
having my bits. They're my
You're
bits.
not my bits.
They're my bits, and I'm keeping them. And so later on, what happened was I didn't have the hysterectomy as they said when they wanted to. They
Mm.
decided upon doing a resection, which
Mm.
is where they kind of tidy up the womb
Mm.
um, and deal with the fibroids as best they can by surgical means. They
Yeah.
did that. And that was, I've got it written down somewhere actually. It was actually 2019 they
Right.
did that.
Right.
But then within 6 months, the fibroids, believe it or not, came back.
Oh, so that's a third time now.
Yeah, that's the third surgery. And then they did um,
Yeah.
the hysterectomy then. But it wasn't a full hysterectomy. I wrote down what I wanted them to do,
Yeah.
what I would accept.
Yeah.
And they kept to it near enough
Yeah.
because they found some bits and pieces that they had to deal with. But effectively, I've had the hysterectomy and I have 1.5 ovaries because they had to take half because it had a huge cyst on it. So
Right.
that was done.
That's interesting. So when you were talking to the doctors and the consultants about your hysterectomy, you said you had to fight for your ovaries. So this is something you had to ask for. They want to take everything out.
Yeah. And then the night before, they wanted to take everything out. The night before
Mm.
the hysterectomy, my sister texted me. Actually, we had a conversation the night before and she said, you're going to have to give them consent for the surgery. And
Oh,
therefore, you would need to write down what you do not give consent to. So I wrote 2 letters, one to, I think they have a theatre nurse, one to
yeah.
the theatre nurse and one to the surgeon. And it stated that I do not give consent for them to take my ovaries.
I did not know that
And
you
I
had.
do not give consent for them to take my cervix.
Wow.
And I gave 2 envelopes in when I went into to see outpatients that day before I got sent into to the surgical ward. They were fine. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." That's what they want. They want instructions. They don't want. If you don't give them instructions,
Mm.
they'll do what they need to do as far as they're concerned. Yeah.
So how are you now?
Well, I think I'm pretty good.
Hmm.
I think I could be better,
Yeah.
but actually, it was what I needed to do. And now I'm seeing the benefits of life without that because I'm at the age anyway, I would have gone through menopause
Yes.
anyway. It was just my ovaries kept talking and I didn't want that conversation anymore. So now my ovaries talk less. Yeah.
Can I ask you why it was important to you at the time to keep your ovaries?
I didn't want the symptoms of menopause to be as ferocious as they can be when you have a hysterectomy. And I
Yeah.
wanted things to tail off nicely. If I was going to have my estrogen and whatnot going through my body I wanted it to tail off. I didn't want it to just be
Right.
cut, because that can be pretty drastic.
Yeah.
There are benefits to having estrogen. I can't remember what they all are, but they're good benefits.
Well, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects everything in your body practically. So, yeah.
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 So I was really keen to keep those benefits, and I think surgery is so drastic anyway.
Yeah. It's trauma.
100%.
Yeah.
And you have to recover from that trauma mentally, physically. You just do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for explaining that, because I think,
Yeah.
sometimes there are, lots of people have hysterectomies, and there are pros and cons, but also there will be people who are listening who didn't realize you had to write a letter in, or that you could do that even, or that you had a choice. Sometimes we feel when we go to the doctors, when we go to the hospital, that we actually don't have a choice. And I think I encourage people like you, like you did, to advocate for themselves, make a fuss or whatever you want to call it, so that, because it's your body and your life. So I'm glad that you were able to do that. And the doctors prepared you for the fact that you were going to go into menopause. You were aware when you came out of surgery what would start to happen, and what did start to happen. Oh dear.
Ooh, no preparation at all, at all, at all.
Oh,
So my preparation was that I actually joined an online group called Hister Sister, which
okay.
is an American organization. And you put in your details, you have a hysterectomy, the date of it, and then they send you these little things like reminders. This is what's happening at the moment. This is what's happening now. So actually, I bought loads of books on hysterectomy, and I read through them all. And so as things came up, I knew what was going to be happening, but the hospital didn't prepare me. In fact, it felt as though you get admitted, you get treated, and then they just leave you to it. You're in your bed. I woke up and I didn't know I was attached to something. There was a tube,
Mm.
obviously for drainage and whatnot, and I didn't know I would have this tube in me, and that would have to have this tube removed after 3 days, and I wasn't prepared for the experience of having this tube removed. I wasn't told I wouldn't be able to go to the loo very easily,
Mm.
because obviously you have medication, everything slows down. And then even the muscles that you use to bear down, to do
Mm.
what you normally do, I wasn't informed about that. And it's a shock. Again, a trauma. They don't prepare you for that. So that was really strange. It was really strange that in the hospital,
Yeah.
when you're there and you need to be eating good food, they don't prepare you to go to the loo in 3 days by giving you loads of healthy food like kale or wholemeal or stuff.
Yeah.
So you're eating this food, which is interesting. And then
Is
you're
hospital
asked
food so rubbish? That
and then
makes
you're
but
asked to perform. Obviously, they want you to perform 3 days later to be able to go to the loo, because that's one of the benchmarks to
Mm.
leave.
Mm.
And they give you food that ain't possible.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's no prep at all, Karen. What a life.
Literally, it makes no sense other than monetary, and scarcity and resources and
That's
cuts.
right.
You know, if someone is listening to this who is about to experience a hysterectomy, what advice might you give them to prepare themselves that you don't think the doctors will, such as the stuff that you just mentioned, for example? Because I wouldn't have known that.
Well, unless you're going to some gorgeous hospital with the best funded
Mm.
chefs, I'll put it that way, because the chefs are good wherever you go. They just need funding.
Yeah.
Um, I would suggest that you get somebody to bring you in what you call them, tiffin pots with
Yeah.
hot food,
Yeah.
with your favourite soups with as much wholemeal stuff in it as possible.
Mm.
So even if it's hard food, kale, veggies, cook it down nice, and get someone to bring you in that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Wow.
because you're going to need your roughage. Make sure you take in things like coconut water, all of your treats, not high sugar, just simple fluids that you'd like to drink. Get yourself some nuts, some good protein, get your nuts on the side there for snacking, and
Mm,
your fruits. Tell
right.
them don't worry about the flowers. They probably won't even allow you to have flowers. Just get you some home meal food. I think I used to get takeouts as well. I used to get broth from the Chinese and
Oh,
get them
okay.
to send it in. So big pots of broth and things like that when I was in hospital. So those sort of things, you definitely need them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really, really good advice. Go on.
Yeah. Some advice would be learn how to sit up and get out of your bed without using your abs before you go in, so you know how to swing your legs around. Do I think they call it the log roll? So
Okay.
you learn a log roll, so you learn how to do that. Yeah,
So what's a log roll?
a
Explain.
log roll is like when you're in your bed,
Yeah.
you push yourself up
Yeah.
on your side, and then you kind of, whilst you're doing that, you press off the side and swing your legs down. I mean, I'm
Okay.
miming it now. You swing your legs down off the bed without
Yeah.
using your abs.
Without using your abs.
Your
Okay.
abdominal muscles, yeah. It's a
Okay.
really good skill. But obviously, oh yes, this is the worst one.
Okay.
When you
Right.
laugh,
Yeah.
press down on your abdomen, on the get a cushion and press down on the
Mhm.
stitches so you can laugh without screaming with tears, because that is, because the worst thing is, if you laugh and you've got stitches in,
Yeah.
it's really painful.
Mm.
And the thing is, it happened to me on a, I had, when I had the myomectomy, this is, and actually when I had the hysterectomy, was I started to laugh, and then the pain was so bad, I then started to cry at the same time.
Oh,
So you
man.
laugh, you can laugh and cry at the same time. It's really weird. It's the strangest, because then you're going because you're pressing down on the stitches.
And laughter is supposed to be the best medicine, but clearly not the case here.
No, you don't always want to, but sometimes you have to, because
Yeah.
life is hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah. So, so you come out of hospital, and how long before you started to realize that you were in menopause now? Was it gradual, like you expected it to be, or and what were the first, signs, so to speak?
I think it was probably about a year after that I started to notice that, things are happening. Things are changing here. And so obviously, when you have a hysterectomy, there are no periods anymore. They stop.
Yeah.
But what I did notice, about it was probably after a year, that my mood just started to change. I started to feel really low,
Mm.
and with that mood, my libido was going as well, and not a good place to be.
Yeah.
And then there were hot flushes, and they were very gentle hot flushes, because I was quite active with what I was doing with life. I was moving about a lot, and I was getting some exercising, which was pretty good. So I would say about a year and a half after. Initially, I thought, oh, it's just the vitamin D. I need vitamin D. Let me do that. Let me sort myself out. But actually, it was the menopause. That was it. My ovaries were saying, nah, that's it, mate. You've had it. We're going to lower down that estrogen. That's what's going to happen now. And so in that time, then I knew it was happening, definitely.
And what did you do?
What did I do? Well, I felt there was very little that I could do. But what I did do was that I tried to change my diet. Now, Mr. Man here, he's a vegan.
This is your partner, your
My husband, yeah,
okay.
he's vegan. And so he said, well, you could take the vegan challenge. And I'm like, oh, no.
For anybody who's not listening on YouTube, you need to see Pauline's face. So
So,
that's a hard pass, yeah?
yeah, that's a hard pass. But what I did do, I do eat with him. And so we eat our meals together. So I can cook vegan. And I do. So I cook vegan because I want us to eat together. And then
Yes.
he cooks his one dish that he's mega at. Yeah. So what we do is we have the vegan food in the house and it's lovely. I have my porridge and all of that stuff. I can make my chickpea omelets. I can do all that malarkey. But there's got to be some eggs in the house. Every now and again, I will cook some chicken down and do it the way I like it. So I eat meat about 2 or 3 times a week. And the rest of the time, we honour the house. We have vegan meals, which is good for togetherness, to eat together and sit and eat our meals together. So that's the one thing I have done. I've reduced my meat over the years. I've reduced meat. Over the years, I've also tried to cut out processed food.
Yeah.
Processed food is no favors for me. So even when I eat out, I like the food. I like food I recognize and I can see has been made from base ingredients, you know?
That's a great rule. That's a great rule. Food that you recognize.
Yeah. And I read some books by Michael Pollan, who talks about eating fresh foods, not eating things that your granny wouldn't recognize. So
Yes.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I abide by that rule as well. So what else do I do? Well, I always danced. Years ago, I used to dance.
So this is what I wanted to get onto, because I was going to ask you about whether that affected your mood and how did you deal with the fact that you noticed you had a low mood. So what did you do? And I sorry to hijack this, but dance is my first love. For those who don't know, my degree is in performing arts. I'm a dance specialist, and I taught dance for 2 decades, and I still teach it in where I've moved to. So when I read on an Instagram post, or you've cleverly got 2 accounts, haven't you? One of them, and you were talking about dance. I was like, hold up, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because we met when you were a head of textiles, which is a whole nother lifetime ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So talk about dance, talk about your mood.
Okay, dance. I'll tell you about dance to start with. In my 20s, I thought, I'd love to do some dance. I've never danced before, as an organised activity. Yeah. And so what happened was I was living in East London by then, and I saw a class that said Arabic dance, and I thought it said aerobic dance. So when I turned up, there was all these women in sequins and jingles, and I think, what the heck is this? And the woman who ran the class said, when you arrived, Pauline, your face looked a picture. You saw people who were going like that. Because she was a Cockney woman, and there was all these, and I went back and it was really good. And then I got totally into this Middle Eastern dance scene. Anyway, years transpired, and my teacher's teacher, I thought I must meet her. And there was this amazing woman called Soraya Hilal from Yemen. Anyway, I followed her classes for years. And so what happened was I got so into it, I started teaching her style of dance, which we call Hilal dance, and I never stopped.
So it's Hilal dance.
Hilal dance, yeah, and I never stopped until
type of dance.
It's a contemporized form of Egyptian or Middle Eastern dance, but she's contemporized it, and in a way, it's now sort of, I would call it totally world dance because it's so inclusive of different styles. It's very lyrical, and so dance kept me sane, quite frankly, through all of the surgeries I've had, through all the moods I've had, through lockdown. That was my medicine. And I've kept a little bit of it. It's always been in my heart, but it had to kind of change because I couldn't dance and work and dance and get better. So in some respects, it's still there, and there's a seed of that in how I do my massage.
Yes.
So that's my thing. That's my bag. So I dance like a hippie whenever I can, but not in the treatment room when doing treatments. That somehow turned into some sort of flow.
That's something to incorporate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say it.
It would be interesting. We'll give it a go. Give it a go. Sorry, what was your question again? I
have no idea. No, answered it. We talked to, I wanted to know, you said you noticed that, about a year and a half after you had your hysterectomy that your mood started to
Yeah,
go. And I kind of
yeah.
wanted to know how you did, so you decided, because you very clearly decided not to go to the doctors to talk about your low mood or anything else.
Oh, I did.
I apologise.
I
Tell
did,
me
yeah.
more. What did the
So,
doctor do, say?
well, I thought that they were really, really practical in what they suggested because it was all mixed up. This was during lockdown, and like I said, my libido was going down, and so they actually suggested I do some talking process work,
Yeah.
which amazed me.
Mm.
And they sent us to because it was an issue that had to be dealt with. So they
Mm.
sent me and my partner to, which we did online,
Mm.
talk therapy, and we did that for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I was prescribed HRT. So I was given. I decided it was a good idea to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it. I thought I've done as much as I can on my own, and let's do this because not only is it possible that having the HRT would work for me, but it was also possible that the talk therapy and the HRT together would be a really positive thing. And
Yeah.
for me, it was. It
Yeah.
was really, it turned things around.
What were you prescribed, just out of interest?
Primarin, but I wasn't prescribed Primarin first. I was prescribed a little tablet that I had to insert because they only wanted to deal with the physical first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that dealt with that. And that worked for about a year. And then
Okay.
after the year, I started the Primarin, which is the oral tablet.
Okay. Okay. All right. And
Yeah,
do you still take that, or have you moved
I
on?
do. I do. But I'm thinking, you know what? I'm probably going to have to tail it off at some point and have a real menopause. So now I'm at the point now, because it's been like 2 years with the Primarin, I'm
Yeah.
at the point now where I'm thinking perhaps I should just tail off and actually be who I am with whatever symptoms I'm going to have and let it all die
That's
down
interesting.
slowly.
It's worth going to the doctors and discussing that, because
I
even
think
in
so.
years, HRT, formulations and the way in which, in terms of you can, rub it on your skin and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
maybe. But obviously, see how you feel, but don't do it on your own. Is what I was going to say.
Oh no, I totally agree there because I totally, I totally agree there because you don't know if you just come off something what sort of symptoms
Suddenly,
could
yeah.
occur. Yeah, so I'd rather do that definitely.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to access both talking therapy and, you recognise that they would both be beneficial for you
Hmm.
at the time. That's brilliant, and I'm glad that worked for you. So you discussed menopause with your partner, with your doctor, and with your sister. Did you discuss it with anybody else? Did you?
Oh yeah,
By this point, were you working? How long have you been a massage therapist?
I've
I'm
been
not.
a massage therapist since 2017. So all of this beginning
Yeah.
kind of weaved into
Yeah.
my work, which is really weird. Um, so yeah, I discussed it with friends, with my family, with my husband. We just had to chat through this stuff because it was a madness. Plus,
Basically.
yeah, it was a madness. And plus,
Close.
with all this surgery and stuff, you have to deal with the repercussions of it and still do your work, recover and do your work. It was a really strange time.
Yeah.
So my friends really, I know they really. I really felt reinforced with their feedback and with how they were helping me along the way because some of them had been through it also. And
Yeah.
some of them didn't want to go through it, were listening avidly so that they didn't have to go through the stuff that I've been through and so many other women have gone through. I mean, when I listen to your show and I hear other people's stories, that also made me think, I'm not going mad.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is not unusual. This is okay. You have to work through these things. And without the feedback and actually hearing other Black women's stories, it's just,
Yeah.
without that, we'd all be thinking we were mad.
And certainly I did when I was, and I didn't have the symptoms that you've described, but I also was, had anxiety and depression, and I
Mm,
thought I was going mad too. I thought I couldn't do my job, all sorts of things, But I feel like you're right. Listening to other Black women, people who look like us, people who have similar
mm,
experiences to us, because we are not a monolith and we are not the same, um, is incredibly strengthening you know
yes,
and it doesn't necessarily make your symptoms better, but knowing that you're not the only person is powerful shit.
that's right.
It's
It's
powerful.
deep.
Yeah, very deep.
Mm,
Do you have I have a different question. It's not about menopause. I'm interested to know, because as I said to you before, we met as I was plopped in your department, wasn't I? I was just plopped in your department at a school we were working at. And then you went off to pursue, I think, another education job.
yeah,
But at some point, you ended up as a masseuse. What
yeah.
led you there? Because this is clearly not just something you love. I have, as I said, I have experienced your healing hands, and actually, I I only saw you because I somebody else mentioned you on Instagram. Kelechi
Mm,
mentioned
yes, yes.
Instagram, and she was waxing lyrical about you. And I thought, you know what? Let me try. But I had no idea that you was someone I knew.
Ah, yes. So, firstly, blessings to Kelechi.
Yeah,
Thank you.
one.
Thank you. Right. So, what happened was I was teaching for 17 years. But I would say the last 6 years, actually, yeah, the last 6 years of teaching, I have to say, I was hanging on.
Hmm,
I was hanging on because my symptoms were trumpeting. It was madness. And I heard from other people that they were having very similar perimenopausal symptoms with really heavy periods.
yeah,
And the work was becoming almost impossible. So the last time I went into surgery, well, actually, it was probably around, yeah, when I went into surgery, some of the what happened was I was finding it really difficult to cope,
yeah,
and every time I was getting ready to go back to work, I was thinking, I can't cope with this. I can't handle this. So what happened in the end was I thought, I can't. I'm going to have to leave. So when I was recovering, I was looking at things that I could do, and I remember thinking when I was younger, I used to go to the Royal Homeopathic and I loved all that herbal medicine stuff, but I didn't have the energy to go back to uni and study
yeah.
herbalism because they did a degree in it at that time. I believe
Right.
they still do, but it's probably in private practice now that
Hmm.
they do training for degrees in herbalism. So I thought, let me do massage. I really love a good massage. Why not try it? And I did this course and it was an eye opener. It just blew my mind that
Oh,
something so fundamental and simple could make such a difference to people's life, people's experience. And you could feel it. You can feel it almost in your ether, in your energy for over
mm,
a week after you feel the benefit of a massage. And I thought, I can do that. That's cool. I could do that. So that's how I got into it. And I had a market stall at Greenwich Market, and it was chair massage, and that was the first thing I did, and I was really bad at it. I was really bad at getting clients in. They wouldn't come to me because it was a weekday, firstly, and
yeah,
so the market was dead quiet. People were
yeah.
coming from like there's a conservatoire near, there's a
Yeah.
music
That's
school and blah
conservatory.
blah
Yeah.
blah. They'd come from there and stuff, and tourists would come through, but no one was really there because it was a weekday and someone else had the market
Mm.
massage store on the weekend. They were making all the money. So I thought, I'm going to take myself to E40. I'm going to take myself to the Isle of Dogs because I used to live there for a while. I had a flat there for about 7 years. And that's where it picked up and kicked off. I was thinking, this is all right here. I'll stay here. This is okay. And I've been there on the Isle of Dogs for 5 years.
Yeah.
And during lockdown, a lot of things happened. It was almost like, because I wasn't working for the first part of the lockdown, but it was like being in a goldfish bowl so far as social media was concerned, because it almost became like this lens you could look into and see the world and see so many things happening. And then you would spend your days doing whatever you're doing. For me, it was like a routine of running. I live on a hill. So I'd go up to the top of the hill and I'd run around this hill, this park on the top of the hill in Plumstead, because I live in Plumstead. And then I'd come home totally refreshed and rejuvenated, eat loads of good food. Very simple. I'd be making my bread and sewing and doing all this homesteady stuff at home, growing pumpkins and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
And then I would listen to podcasts as well whilst this was going on, when I wasn't dancing or meditating or breathing or doing all the stuff that I've always wanted to do. And I heard Kelechi's podcast, and I just thought, wow, this is just amazing, because she was saying things that one would grumble about and say with your friends, or things like that. And also your podcast. So, and I would be hearing things about women going through menopause, and I'm thinking, wow. And then at that time, I suddenly realised, I think I know Karen Arthur. I'm sure I met Karen Arthur, but I couldn't work out where. And then I remembered chatting with you, and you were wearing this white shirt, which was this amazing white shirt you were wearing. I remember thinking, wow, that's so elegant. And I remembered you with your white shirt that you had. You probably designed and made it. And
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Wow.
About this white shirt. So, yeah, it's interesting that the power of this goldfish bowl, the social media, allowed me to get this education about what was going on within this community of humans who have the same life experiences or similar life experiences and are communicating and doing things. And I just thought it was amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's so, I can't think of a fitting word, but I love that the world is so small, in the sense that who would have thought that all those years ago, when I was shadowing you as a, fledgling textiles teacher, I was. And then you went, and then they said, well, you're going to get these kids through their GCSE, textiles, which somehow I managed to do.
Oh.
Years later, I get to your place in Canary Wharf, and I'm walking up the steps, and you turn around and go, we know each other. Like, of course, Pauline. So I am indebted to Kelechi and Instagram, and
as I am too.
And and just thrilled that it's brought me, I suppose, back into your life, because I've also had some of the best massages that I've ever had with you.
Oh.
And the fact that I live so far away is annoying, but
I have to do ether massage around the place.
Absolutely. So a lot of the next questions you've kind of answered anyway.
Because I'm a chatty bird. Sorry.
You talked about your routine in lockdown, which sounds sublime. Did you learn to make sourdough? I must ask.
No. I'll tell you why.
Tell me
because
why.
I love my home ec, because I was as a home ec teacher as well. I had this huge tin of yeast.
Oh, wow.
In my house, and and it lasted. So I never had to make sourdough, or I never wanted to either. I was making I love my yeast. Oh yeah,
it sounds like a lava sourdough, but
it's a lot of work.
A lot of people learned to make it during the many lockdowns that we endured. So yeah. So what I actually want to know is about whether you have a routine now.
Yeah, I'm really bad. I'm really sorry. I'm so- because I hear about people say, "Oh, I get up at 4 a.m. and I do some meditation on the hill, and then I waft down the hill in my caftan, and I go home, and I have some macrobiotic yogurt or something." And oh no, I'm really sorry.
You know what?
Oh,
There are many people listening to this who are going to be thrilled that you just said that.
I'm really
So,
bad.
yeah. So you get
So I roll out of bed. And one of the things that I try to do, is I try not to eat before 11 o'clock.
up. Okay.
So, because the up and down thing, I love sugar. And so I am trying my hardest to avoid sugary foods.
Okay.
So I get up around 6-ish. And what I do is I hold a fresh, get out the house, and I try and pack a lunch. So in there, I will have salads, I'll have my leaves, my cucumber, all of that stuff. And I try and put pulses in there, and I make my vinaigrette in a nice big jar. And I've started to make a vinaigrette, but also put cashew in it.
Okay.
So the protein's in there, and I have that nice big salad. If I don't, and a flask of decaf.
Okay.
So, what I also try and do, if I don't do that, is when I have my lunch at work around 12-ish, because I like to not eat until 12, I
Mm.
try and find places around Canary Wharf that will do a proper lunch which isn't processed. And I
Oh,
found a good few places which I adore. And
oh,
I
great.
also sneak in my meat then, because obviously I try not to have meat at home. So I found there's a beautiful shawarma place which do a bucket load of salad with it, which I adore, and they do beautiful falafel.
What's the name of it? Shout them out. Do
Oh,
you remember the name of it?
I think it's Syrian shawarma, and
Okay.
they're right by the Hilton near Canary Wharf. So if you
Okay.
get to the Hilton, there's a food court there, and those guys are there, and they'll do falafel for you with the rice, and they'll do a huge salad.
Brilliant.
There's another place. There's I think it's called Caribbean Heart, and unfortunately, actually, I'm not going to say unfortunately. I'm going to say they don't do salad. So get your salad bag before,
How can
right?
you
And
salad?
then go and get your jerk chicken there
Okay.
at Caribbean Heart, and they are at. See, I know all the foodie places. My friends always tell me they are at Cross Harbour. If you want your rice and peas and your plantain with that, you're covered. But you can
Good.
get a nice piece of chicken, and then go and get your salad bag at Tesco's at the supermarket next door. Right. There are some other places.
Okay. All
Do you
right.
want
I'm
to know
glad that
some
you know
more?
all the food places. These things are important.
Yeah. So there's one more I have to mention, and that's the cafe next door. They do a gorgeous Cafe Nina next door. They do
Okay.
a gorgeous salad box. You can get a salad box there, and they'll do little mini pizzas. They're Italian, so they do some amazing stuff there as well.
Cafe
Yeah.
Nina. And these are all in Canary Wharf.
They're all near Cross Harbour,
Okay.
South Quay. They're on my side of that wharf, because Canary Wharf's actually a 12-minute walk away.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm near South Quay. But
Oh,
I use
I
the
said
name because it's
that.
really good for marketing. So I'd be a fool not to mention it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll bear
Yeah.
those in mind for when I'm back in London.
Yeah.
So, Pauline, well, I kind of might know the answer to this, but we'll see. What brings you joy?
Oh, food. I love a bit of food. I love a bit of curly kale too. Dancing. What got me through lockdown was dancing every day. And I used to put on every form of music, whether it Middle Eastern, African, Caribbean, reggae, whatever music, I'd put it on and dance. Um, Epic tunes of 10 minutes or longer. That'll get me going.
Yeah.
Do you know, I listened to I Feel Love, the 10-minute version, Donna Summer the other day.
Listen, listen. I went to my first 5 rhythms. Can we
Oh,
just do that? Can you just do that shimmy again for me, please?
and then you can get it faster.
I've got Pauline shimmying at various tempos
Yeah.
online. I went to my first 5 rhythms
Oh,
when? A few months ago. I wasn't feeling great. And a friend of mine, lovely Deanne, shout
mm,
out to Deanne, messaged me and said, "Do you want to go to 5 rhythms?" So I was like, "Yeah, I'll try that." And they played,
mm.
at some point during it, they played Donna Summer. My goodness me. And that full version, an incredible.
You just get it there, don't you? You just feel it right there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, brilliant. So dance is yours, and that brings you joy. So
Yeah.
is that also, is Donna Summer, I Feel Love, I presume, which, is that the tune that instantly makes you want to dance, or is there another one?
There is another one. Oh, do you know, I'm really bad with titles of late. But I've been playing a tune by Daniel Caesar.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Caesar. And he's got a sweet little voice. Really nice. I really like his voice. And one of his tunes, it's got this reprise. I'm all into reprises where it's just like, like Earth, Wind and Fire. You
Yeah,
know that if you left them to
yeah,
their own devices, they wouldn't do a gig with 10 tunes. They would probably do a gig with one tune
yeah,
and they just keep with that groove until you're like just totally losing it. And that's what I love about music.
yeah,
If there's a hook in the music, I wish I had like a loop machine just to keep it going.
yeah, yeah.
And Daniel Caesar has a tune where he does that at the end of the tune. And I just want to do that, have that hook with that one tune just to keep me going and dancing. And there'd be like a hole in the floor, like wearing down where I just keep going.
Well, when you remember the title of it, drop
Yeah,
it to me.
I will. I will. In
That's
fact, yeah,
to our
I might have a cheeky moment and ask someone for that. I will do. But he's got a
lovely,
good tune there.
lovely. So we're on our final question, Pauline.
Oh,
What's the one piece of advice you would give to any black woman listening to us now?
I would tell them to don't believe him. Just do it.
Mm,
Don't believe him. Believe you. Believe you can do it because you're the one who has to put the work in and get it done.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Believe yourself.
Thank you. So
Mm.
you're going to do that tea party, right?
Oh yeah. I'm going to put a link on anybody who wants to join the tea party who's a complimentary therapist and black or of colour.
Yeah,
Come. We can do something on a nice hot day. We're going to have a tea party.
I love that. I love that. I'm sure I'm looking forward to it. I'm not even a complimentary therapist. I might gate crash it. So,
Yeah.
Pauline, people will want to get in touch with you. They will want to know more about
Yeah.
your magical hands on their bodies. What are your offerings and how can they find you?
Oh, well, I do all the massages, sports, pregnancy, and I'm doing a C-section hysterectomy and abdominal scar treatment, which is going to start next year, which
Mhm.
2024.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, if you want a massage, I'm at pendulummassage.co.uk. I am on it. That's the Kingstonian coming out. I am on Instagram as Pendulum Massage. I think I'm on Twitter. You can find me probably if you put in Pendulum Massage there. And yeah, I'm about. I'm about.
You're
Yeah,
about. And I will put all of those links in the show notes
yeah.
when this all comes up, which will be end of December. Pauline,
Oh,
it's been an absolute pleasure. I knew it would be.
oh,
It's been a
thank
pleasure
you.
to chat with you. You don't want to go, do you?
Oh, I'm having a party now. Oh, Karen, thank you so much for inviting me. And power to you. What you're doing is absolutely fantastic, amazing, superb, because we need to be talking. This is like taking the place of talking around the fire. It really has. It's like talking around the fire and hearing other people tell their stories. It's heartwarming
Thank
and
you.
necessary. Thank you.
Oh, you're lovely. You're lovely, innit?
Yeah, so you love.
As usual, I loved having this conversation with Pauline. And I also love that she's back in my life. We knew each other a lifetime ago when we were both teachers. What she talked about how she developed a love of different things during COVID and during the pandemic, and how she has advocated for herself when she went into hospital so many times, was really inspiring. And I also loved the tips that she gave. If you have any tips for post recovery after hysterectomy, or tips around nutrition, do feel free to drop me a line or post me or send me a message on Instagram at Menopause Whilst Black. My email address is thekarenarthur@mail.com. And did you know what a log roll was? I certainly didn't. I learnt so much. Pauline's zest for life is an absolute inspiration, and I'm glad that she was able to share it with me so I could share it with you. The Joy Retreat Barbados 2024 doors are open. There are 10 spaces for 10 Black women to join me in Barbados for a nourishing week of rest and rejuvenation. As I said, doors are open, 10 spaces. There is a payment plan in place, a 3-month payment plan that ends at the end of December. So if that's something that you're interested in, please get involved. Go to my website, thekarenarthur.com, and the Joy Retreat will pop up. Or you can send me a message on Instagram at Menopause Whilst Black, and I will send you the link, or look at my bio. All the information is there. You have been running around doing all the things for everybody all year, possibly for decades. Isn't it time that you looked at yourself and looked at how you can help yourself? The Joy Retreat Barbados 2024 is the opportunity to choose you. If you loved this episode, or you like any of the other episodes, if you loved this episode, do me a favour. Would you write a review, pop a comment, say something nice, be lovely to us, especially on YouTube, where we're kind of the new kids on the block. But any, review on Audible, on Spotify, on Amazon, or wherever you get your oral candy really helps to push the algorithms up so that we can reach the ears that really need to hear us. Enjoy your Twixmas. Guilt-free, eat what you need to eat, relax, rest, drink your water. Yes, continue to wear your SPF, and I will see you soon. Take good care. Be gentle with yourself, yeah? All right. Bye.